And that one you got 3 shots. And then some shots might be a 5-to-1, depending. But you usually, when you budget your movie, you budget on a shot ratio. Say, this is what we're going to do. That way you know how much money you have to spend on raw stock film, but you also know how long your movie's going to take. Because how many of you ever made a movie where you say, we're going to shoot in the weekend, and then the weekend comes and goes, you go nowhere near what you were supposed to shoot. And that's because of any number of things. But one of them is because you keep trying to get that shot right. And that's the other thing is with directors today, your job, concentrate on the story, concentrate on the performance, because you're better off having a crappy looking film with bad shots than you are having a dumb story film with no talent in it. Because people will tolerate, look at Cloverfield. All that jerky camera crap. They'll watch it. But the performance has to be there. So that's what casting is about. It's really, really making sure that you've got good quality talent. So learning to spot talent, learning to know what good acting about comes from doing a lot of casting. Even if you don't make your movie, cast or go to plays, go out, see movies, and really go, what is it about this? Because why does everybody like Brad Pitt? Okay, so he's handsome. Who cares? What is it about his performance that's good? Or why, when they get panned, what are they getting panned for? If you want to tweak your sensibilities about what makes somebody excellent at what they do, so that you can recognize it in the people around you when you're casting from the resources that you have. Who's going to be the next Brad Pitt, for example? From your own community. Who would be that person? Because they're like, wow, there's no stopping her, or there's no stopping him. When they get up on the screen, when they're on the screen or when they're on stage, man, look out. They got it together. Now, having said all that, doesn't mean that every one of your roles you're going to have some kind of electrifying, larger-than-life character. It all depends on what the roles are. You have the little church mousy guy kind of thing. He's got to be real quiet. He's got to be able to portray that believably. The thing that, Wisconsin is the land of bad horror movies, and I'm responsible for a number of them. But, if it's like, I'm trying to think of the movie. I don't know if it's Dressed to Kill, if it's a Brian De Palma one, something where they're interviewing actresses for screaming, and they can't get the right scream, and then someone's killed on tape or something like that, and they can use that, to be able to scream and be terrified if you're doing a monster movie, or horror movies, and it's about being believable. Or when they're crying, or if they're arguing with a spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend or their parents in a movie, you want to believe them. You don't want to think, oh God, these are actors delivering lines right now. So casting is one of the most crucial aspects of your filmmaking. Having a good story being one, and casting exceptionally, exquisitely well is the other. Nothing more needs to be said.
Well, what's the process now?
We will say more, but I'm just saying.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What is the process?
What is the process of casting, now that we've broken down the script and we know what the roles are of each role, each character? Where do we go from there?
As a casting director or a filmmaker?
As both.
Well, you're doing your project, so you got to put out a casting announcement. So you put out a casting announcement. If you're going to say no experience necessary and you want to find raw talent, people who might be able to do it, that's fine. But keep in mind that you want experienced people. How many of you as filmmakers would put out a film? Let's say you're producing. Anybody here want to be a producer? Would you hire a director who's never directed?
No.
Would you hire a gaffer who's never lit a movie?
No.
But you know what? People will do that with sound people all the time. They go, here, hold this broomstick, put a mic there, and here, stick these headphones on, and we'll patch it into my camera. And now you're the sound engineer. They'll do that with actors. It's kind of like, would you hire somebody who never did accounting to run your business or do your taxes? No, you wouldn't. You look for the best qualified person. And so the idea being, even in school, or especially in school, this is the best place to learn to do it. Because if you start out doing it correctly, by correctly I mean according to me, and you could think I'm full of crap. So, but what I'm saying is, if you start out right, if you learn good habits right from the get-go, then those habits will stay with you. It's kind of like smoking. You start smoking and it's hard to break. Well, if you develop good habits, then those are hard to break too. The idea is always develop the habit that you want to have, not the one that you want to get rid of, because it's tough getting rid of habits. So start out by casting as best you can, by understanding the process. So as a filmmaker, what you do is you've broken down the thing, you know what the stuff is, you put out a casting call. You either do it on, do they still do that here? Forgive me for not knowing the name of the Eric thing.
Oh yes, student talent database.
Student talent, STDs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, just like it, you hope it goes viral. I never thought about that before. Student talent database. We'll put the B on at the end there, I guess, to make it safer. But student talent database. So yeah, so they have this. So you put it out there. You put it out wherever. You get a free thing in Shepherd Express. You get a free thing here, or Craigslist. Now, as far as casting goes, there should be some rules. Never cast out of an apartment. Never, and this is just because you want to be professional. Never cast out of an apartment. Guys, don't use this as a scam for dating. Girls, don't do it either. Because people shouldn't have to come to your house. They shouldn't have to come to some kind of place where they don't feel safe. They should always know where they're going. It shouldn't be necessarily the union where tons of people are walking around, but an open room where people feel comfortable. So you put out your casting call, and you start getting submissions. Will start coming to you, hopefully. I will say that I've been on some projects here in town where people would put out casting calls, and we'd be in a building, they'd rent the hall or whatever, and like 2 people would show up, in an 8-hour span of time. I mean, it's hard sometimes casting stuff. On the other hand, sometimes you put out just a little tiniest blurb, and 6,000 people show up, and you're not prepared for it. So you have to schedule your day. You have to say, okay, we're going to cast on Saturday on this day, and then what happens if no one shows up? We'll have an alternate casting day, or if we have too many people, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? So you prepare. You pre-produce everything just like you pre-produce a movie, or like you would plan a party. If you go, what do we do if we run out of chips or beer? Someone's going to have to make a run. So you want to have all this handled in advance, because anything you can pre-think about in advance, the less likelihood you're going to be surprised, and less likelihood you're going to be shocked by not, having something. Get a video camera, and you also get the sides for each, or the pages from the script that you want to audition the people from. Once these people are contacted, because once you've got these submissions, you'll say, yes, show up to such and such a place at such and such time. By the way, here are your sides. Here are the 3 pages or 2 pages or whatever it is of the scene that we want you to look over. They don't have to absolutely memorize it. And you don't necessarily want them memorizing it then at that point either. Some will, but then that's okay. But they should look at it and be familiar with it so that they can stand and deliver the lines to the camera, or if you choose to another actor in the scene, without doing it absolutely completely cold. Because that gives you some idea of what they brought in. And by the way, as directors, if you're directing, the least actor-friendly thing you can ever do is give them a line reading. Tell them, no, I want you to say it like this, or be angry. And tell them exactly how you want to do it. You want to see what they bring in, especially in casting, but especially your performers once they've been cast. They go off, they learn their role. Don't fill them with who this person is. And you can fill them with some backstory and everything so that if they have questions that you can answer, but don't insist that they do it a particular way, because they may have ways of doing it or things about it that you would never think of. They might have a whole wild, character life that you never thought of, and it adds all the different dimensions to the character on screen, and you're going to want that. So always let them do their thing, and if you're shooting a movie, always let them have their take. Say, I'd really like to try this. Let them try it.